I was born in Chile as well, so shout out to Chile, the two of us, three of us here. And I emigrated to Miami when I was very young, and I grew up in poverty. I didn't have access to some of the same resources that later on my white peers had, but I did have an interest in science, and I fell into physics and astronomy in high school. And I did 2 years at community college in Miami-Dade College in Miami, Florida. Shout out to community college, best education I ever got. And then I transferred to Georgia Tech, and when I came up here, to Atlanta, it was a huge culture shock for me because it was the first time I was not around a whole bunch of Latinas. And then when I was there, and also throughout my PhD training in astrophysics, I was definitely made to feel othered. I was coming in the door with, I was loud. I had I was kissing people on the cheek, hello and goodbye. I had all my mannerisms and stuff, and I was very quickly told in so many words that I didn't belong there. Scientists do not dress like I dress, talk like I talk. We don't behave the way that I do. And so I was definitely made to feel really small, and that I couldn't occupy space just as I was. And I've described this to people as when a space is made on the basis of your exclusion and your exploitation, it's like you're walking through a doorway that is shaped not like your body. And so it's not a simple act of removing your coat and putting it at the door, and then when you walk out you put it back on again. It's literally you have to cut away pieces of your flesh in order to be there, right? And I had to give up a lot of my culture and a lot of my identity in order to assimilate to that scientific world, right? Just so that I can do my science, right? Like everybody else, right? And I was being asked to give up a lot. And so over time, it really affected me really negatively, to the point where when I started writing my PhD dissertation, I was waking up with panic attacks in my sleep, several days in a row. I had to take 4 months off for medical leave so that I could get on medication and stuff like that, just because it was so harrowing. And all of these little things, what people call microaggressions, right? Also macroaggressions, they add up in your body. It's death by 1,000 cuts. And so I really had to reassess, and by that time, all I had wanted, I had worked so hard, tooth and nail, first generation, my parents didn't go to college, no one in my family had gone to grad school, and literally by the skin of my teeth, I finished my PhD. But by that time, my dream was to be an astronomy professor. And by then I was your brain starts to associate all the negative experiences with your work. And so I started hating my science. I couldn't even be in lab because it was just so painful, right? And it was so triggering. And so I decided to leave my field, but I was all the fuck shit I went through, nobody should have to go through this. And so I started my company, Movement Consulting, and what we do is that we're transforming the culture of science so that marginalized people can thrive. Because I was privileged enough to be able to finish my PhD, but I saw so many people, marginalized people, especially Black women, Latinas, be pushed out before their terminal degree, right? And those are the stories you won't get to hear, right? Those are the people that you won't get to hear from, or hear their stories, or see them do great things, because they are pushed out and silenced, right? And so I started this company so that no one would have to go through the same thing. And so what we do is that we go into these spaces, these scientific spaces, academic spaces. I've even worked with some startups and tech companies, and we come in and we do really